Welcome back to Hair Mafia.
Yay!
Yay!
We in this bitch. Finna get crunk. Eyebrows on fleek. The fuck? I only say that because I got my eyebrows threaded for the first time and it really hurt.
Oh, really? How was that?
It was worth it, but it hurt.
I know.
I mean, what's to be expected, but yeah.
I never liked mine threaded. It does hurt. Waxing's better, but I don't.
Yeah, I just didn't want to do it.
They look really good, though. They look really, really good.
I feel like The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways.
Thank you guys for listening.
Yes, welcome back.
We've been getting some really good feedback, so we're really excited.
And a lot
to
of
whoever's listening.
Personal texts from friends, family, just any and everybody, and a lot of people in the community, which we'll get into at some point. They're wanting to be on there, so we have a lot of potential great guests.
Oh yeah,
to come on. I mean, maybe they're just fascinating to me, but please listen.
Please listen, and then maybe you'll get a chance to be on here. You have to be a listener, though.
And we love the comments. Like, you guys are really engaging and asking us questions, and it's really helping the creative process.
Yeah, it is, and giving us like ideas and stuff like that. There's so much to talk about anyway.
Always and forever, as long as you do hair and involve people.
Totally.
To talk about weekend shenanigans, though. What'd you do this weekend?
Oh my gosh! So I did like Saturday. I worked, and I haven't worked a Saturday in a long time. But Saturday I worked. I did an extension correction from a different salon. That was kind of interesting. Not bad mouthing. It was totally fine. She said, you know, in her defense, she said she was very new at extensions, and I gave her a chance, and I'm not happy. So it was all fine and good. And then I did basically a color correction on my own client. Or a color transformation who wanted something completely different than she got last time.
Oh yeah, that was a trend. I was like, correction.
Well, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, but yeah.
But in a sense, it is a correction when you want to go that dark. I mean, it's almost like the same approach.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we had spent like 3 hours just foiling her hair an appointment before. And she's platinum and has platinum extensions. And then she's like, I want to be like this, and shows me a picture of my work. And I was like, ugh.
But you know what? Shout out. I don't even mean the shady, but shout out to the people that understand what it takes and what it costs to do that.
Yeah.
Because she didn't bat it. She's like, this is what I want and I can afford. There wasn't any like back and forth with that, because that's hard. But also another shout out to all y'all that's going to challenge us with this fall hair.
Yes.
There's a lot of super bright blondes wanting to go richer and
there's
deeper.
A lot of redheads out there.
Yes. A neglected
which is good.
population.
I love redheads. Yes. And then Saturday I went to the mall with my kids. Sunday we had our class. That was fun.
That was my first time assisting.
Yes.
Although I did zone out like 4 times. It was a great time.
It was a good time. It was a small class, which was totally fine because I feel like it's easier that way. It's definitely less intimidating. People get to ask their questions. It was a good time.
It was, but it brings us to like our topic today, because there was just like, I don't know, it's just like in the community, the subject is community versus competition, or community over competition.
But it has turned into community versus competition, kind of.
It's or just like 1v1, 10 on 1.
Yeah.
It's a theme that continues to come up, and we've touched on it several times lightly, but I'm just about to rant. Where do we start though with this?
I feel like competition is good.
It's almost healthy.
There's nothing wrong with being like, man, I want to be like them, or even like comparing, like I want to be there one day, or man, like I've been doing hair for 5 years and this new girl who started is already like picking up a lot of momentum and getting a lot of new clients, and I haven't got these new clients. Or sometimes people will get out of school and I'll be like, I didn't even know that technique. Now I feel, because I've been doing hair for so long, I think a little bit of competition is good. There's nothing wrong with that. It keeps you going. Or
you see somebody that has like drive and enthusiasm, and you almost kind of want to compete with their attitude.
Yeah.
But it's gotten twisted down the line because it's everywhere. And I think we should start with social media, because I think that's the easiest and most prevalent form that it is preached. but people ain't practicing what they preach. That's my issue.
Right. So I really feel like we were saying before, any class that we go to is like, everybody's like following each other on Instagram, out of state. I mean, following each other on Instagram. Oh my gosh, this and that. What do you charge? And we're just like bouncing ideas off of each other. Like if there's like a break in the class or even afterwards or whatever. And everybody's so nice and so inviting.
And it's new and exciting to like have this shared experience. And I think
Yeah.
the common ground that you immediately find going to a class is that everybody's there kind of for the same reason. Maybe not the exact, but it's just like, we came here to learn. We came here to be better. And it's nice to just kind of like join.
We're spending our money. We're
energy.
spending our time.
Yeah.
And we all want to be better collectively. And we're kind of all in this together.
And then what I find is kind of odd though too is like we'll run into people that are in our hair community, like locally. And it's like, dang, we traveled to not Ohio, Utah or somewhere in Texas or another. And it's like, and then we run into this issue of people preaching community over competition. And they have these really bad experiences with local salons.
Yeah.
And it's like, are we going there?
Yeah, let's go there.
Okay, let's go.
How do we really like word this? Okay, so back to community over competition. I think as a whole, you really don't even have to say that on social media as a hairstylist because it's already kind of understood. Like we are all in this together, whatever.
But I feel like when you say that, you don't mean it. Like if you have to
if you have to go out of your way to say community over competition.
I'm suspicious of you.
Right. That was like 5 years ago. And now people are still saying it, but it's got more competitive. And we're talking just about locally.
Yeah.
Like,
because outside of like your local stylist community, and I think this is with any business that engages with people or has the same market, they get catty with each other. And catty, not like, oh, we're fighting or whatever, but it's just kind of like this negative attitude. It's like you're preaching something very positive, but you're actually behind the scenes.
Not.
Like, I don't understand why people are fighting over the same client. I'm like, if you walk outside and somebody has hair on their head, that's a potential client.
Yeah.
So what are we fighting about?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing is we're not fighting.
Yeah.
It's all of this like behind the back, behind the scenes.
Backstabbish.
Right. Now we do have a lot of salons that we get along with, but we've been getting some clients. And clients, you guys can like feed the fire, fuel the fire, and feed the drama. But I feel like for some clients, if we're hearing kind of the same tune from them about the same salons, it's probably, and they don't know each other, then it's probably not bullshit.
And it's interesting too, because like me first getting into the industry, it comes in waves. It's like a group of people from a certain area, all unrelated, kind of not friends, have the same experience. Not to say like a stylist can't have a bad day, but it's like, if you're offering a core service or you're saying you're a specialist in something, your work shouldn't be inconsistent.
True.
And then they come here and they're like, we've seen cut hair and bald spots, and because we specialize in extensions. And it's like, how do we get to this point?
Yeah.
And then, we talk about this, on social media and say like, hey, like in the intention of like bettering someone, it's like, we just shouldn't put out this kind of work, or this client came to us and this isn't a good representation of our community. And then what happens? Somebody comes and call, that ain't a good look, you talking about people. And I'm like, must have been you.
Yeah. Couldn't have been me.
And now my work.
Yeah. We have, there are, just like Saturday, for instance, I did that lady's hair. She wasn't bashing the stylist. It was nothing like that. I just fixed it to where she wanted it. I'm sure that I've put work out there that they didn't 100% love. But I don't even think it's the work that they're doing. I just think that it's the shit that they're talking, basically.
Yeah.
Saying like community over competition. We love everybody. We want everybody to be successful, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, then why have some clients from your salon came to our salon saying like, I honestly just wanted to come here because they were like bad mouthing you, and I just wanted to see what it was about.
That was like my next thing. Is it's so interesting because I'm like, clients are actually starting to catch wind, or I'm maybe paying attention. It's like the ones that the salon, that provided the service is bad mouthing. They're like, let me go over there because I'm
already
suck.
not happy now.
Yeah, they like suck, so y'all can't be worse. And it's like, then they find out that they're just trying to tear other people down because they do know that they're better. And I'm not talking about like specifically us, but they're like, yeah, I went somewhere else and it was exactly the person that they were talking about, but they were happy to receive me and they work with me.
Yeah.
So that was interesting too. Like just the other day I had a client, I can't remember the story like verbatim, but she basically got fired because she like spoke up about like, she was like, I want to remain loyal to you, but now you have me like going from like you to an assistant. And then I spoke up because I didn't like that the service when completed, either my extensions fell out or I just wasn't happy with the color. And then you were just like, you make my stylist uncomfortable by your feedback, so I'm gonna have to fire you. And I was like, but how are they supposed to get better?
And mind you, this is a salon that has trash talked us many times.
Yeah, I get it all confused. But yeah, after I put the pieces together, I was just like, but they don't know us like that, at least not me.
They know me, but whatever.
Shout out to whoever can guess who that is. No, I'm kidding. I ain't trying to start
That's another episode because it's a whole long episode. But it's just things like that, or the people who will talk trash, make snide comments, say shitty things, because stylists also talk. Stylists will leave that salon and be like, dude, guess what they were always saying about you or about so-and-so salon or about this other stylist. People do talk.
Yeah.
And probably if they're leaving your salon for a disgruntled reason, they're really going to talk. And they're really going to let other people know, like, they bash salons all the time. But it's like, these are the same ones that are like community over versus competition that are also the same ones that are like, it's never a good look to talk bad about other stylists on social media. And I'm like, well,
or talk bad about your clients.
Well, it's probably not. But at the same time, I could see if I'm like just negative Nancy on social media all the time saying things.
Yeah. But like that jaded break room stylist.
Right.
Which is like,
or if I'm constantly just complaining on social media or complaining about everything, then yeah, that would be annoying to watch. I mean, because no one wants to see anybody be that negative. But there's a difference between being like negative and then just like real about it.
Yeah. And expressing.
Right. And then those are the ones that are like, well, you never look good trying to make others look bad. And it's like, okay, but you also don't look good. You just don't do it in front of anybody that's going to like see it all. Like you do it like in the break room talk or talking to like your assistant or all these other things. Like you don't put it out on social media because social media is, well, it's not all fake, but
it's pretty fraudulent.
Yeah. Well, and you're just putting out there what you want people to see and hear.
Yeah.
What you want. Like, I don't want everybody to see everything about my life on social media. So I'm going to put out there what I want to express.
Right.
And if it's not always super positive, then it's not always super positive. I mean,
with anything that you put out there, it's what you want to attract. It's just like, I do men's cuts, I do short cuts, I do a few vivids here and there, but I'm like, I'm not going to post everything because I don't want to attract 90% of that. Like that becomes stressful. Yeah. But I do enjoy the change up. But before I forget this one, the people that talk about this subject, I just want to know, what gives you the right to police it, to tell me that I shouldn't say that or that I'm wrong for that or, like live my truth? Because I'm like, I do think that it's shitty that you did somebody dirty or however it like transpired.
Yeah, like what's wrong with taking up for myself?
Yeah, or I think in a lot of situations when you are somebody that provides a service and you have a client, it's your job to advocate for them. And I think that that's the missing part too, is that you need to be educating your client because that's how you get in these predicaments. And I feel like sometimes stylists don't explain stuff because they don't know what they're doing. Right. Like just to water it down. It's just like, you don't have to be like super knowledgeable, but like they want a foundation of this is what you're doing and why.
Yeah.
And I think that's how people like get there. Or like some people are still, even though they're licensed, like self-taught. And I'm like, you do need to go to a class.
Yeah, I think it's good to go to classes. And it is good to have a community with hairstylists. 100%, we're all not going to be getting along because, well, clearly that's what we're talking about. But I think a lot of these comments are kind of hateful too.
Yeah, well, I was just like, in order for it to be stopped, you're actually being hateful. So I'm like, isn't that like fuel to the fire? Because now I'm disgruntled and now we're just like arguing in the comments or blocking or whatever.
Right.
But I think what was interesting, because I mean, we had really good conversation, and this wasn't a huge conversation when I was like assisting when you taught the class this weekend. But I just kind of, it was like refreshing, but I also kind of just didn't like that we bonded over bad experiences.
I know.
Like interacting. I'm like, that's not the community. That's not what I want the basis of our community to be. It's just like, oh my God, remember that one person? It's just like, I do want to talk about the great clients and like how I got to elevate. And, you know, we talked about, I mean, just elevating services, which is kind of like the running theme. It's like of our podcast.
Yeah, it has
like,
been these last few episodes.
Yeah, it might not seem like it, but that's what we want you to get out of this is like, how do you collectively on any side of the chair make it better? I think that's the question you should ask yourself. Is this really making the community better?
Authenticity will make it better.
I kind of like being a Splenda daddy.
Well, that's okay too. Yeah, but I do like the community over competition theme. It's just
when it motivates.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, well, don't be somebody you're not, and then just plaster that all over everything all the time. Because that just, like you said, it's almost like putting up a red flag.
It is. It's shining a light kind of more on you than, what's the like old saying, like when you point a finger, there's three pointing back at you? It's really true.
Yeah. Whenever that whole red flag meme was going around, somebody had shared just a bunch of red flags, and then it was like when you make fun of your client on social media. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'm not going to take that too personal.
Yeah, but I'm just.
But I know this stylist, and I'm like, or I could go snort cocaine in the bathroom while I do your hair. It's one or the other. Like, so which one do you want me to do?
Were you doing coke in the bathroom?
I'm like, do you want me to be that person, or do you want me to be the one that's like, my client hurt my feelings today?
Yeah, but also too, it's like, you know, part of being a community is also checking in on one another instead of criticizing one another. Because I'm like, you know, if there's something going on with the stylist, it's like, hey, your work is kind of poor. If I have that relationship with you, I think I should be able to be like, is something going on? Like, I just know you're better than this. Like, but sometimes we just kind of like, I know I've looked at some bad stuff happen. I'm like, I ain't saying nothing. And I feel bad about it because it's like, you don't know how to approach it. But again, what kind of response am I going to get? Because it's offensive to some people.
Well, that's the thing. And I've reached out to certain stylists before about something that had happened with one of their clients, and I got no reply. And I was like, this girl came in. She was a model at one of their classes. They had colored her hair, blah, 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 put in extensions. Long story short, she couldn't get into them for a move up. So she asked if I would move them up. And I said, sure. And she was like, I'm not even complaining, but like, my hair is completely falling out of this entire weft. And this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know what hair this is? And she said, no. And I said, I think that I have a good idea what kind of hair it is because I've been having the exact same problems. We had a hair extension company, but we hadn't manufactured any wefts or machine wefts or hand-tied wefts or flex wefts or anything. And I was like, I think I know which company this is. I was like, and this is exactly what I did. We had a few samples of our wefts, and I was like, I'm just going to give you hair. I was like, because a few of these wefts are ruined. They were only 6 weeks old, and all of the hair had already fallen out. And it wasn't
what. Was this the one that was practice hair?
No,
That's
it wasn't.
A different story.
No, it wasn't practice hair. It was actual hair. Like she had paid for it to be the model. I mean, at a discounted rate. And so I saved the hair and I put my hair in. Didn't charge her because I'm like, I know how it is. And I wasn't mad and she was frustrated, but I was like, it's not the stylist's fault. Like they didn't put them in wrong. I don't think that it's coming out because they thought, ha ha ha, we'll order cheap hair.
Yeah.
And I reached out to the stylist assistant and the stylist never replied to me. And all I said was, I sent them the same message. I was like, hey, I'm just letting you know I saved this hair for you if you want to try to send it back to the company. And I just put my own hair in. Like, I didn't charge her for it. I just had some extra samples. I was like, I'm just like letting you know. The stylist never replied, and her assistant was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. That girl never takes care of her hair.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so that's it? Like, so now you've lost a client because now you clearly just don't care. And now I already don't like you either because.
And it was as simple as taking responsibility for it.
But that was the thing is I was like, this isn't even your fault. This is the hair's fault. Like, this is the hair manufacturer's fault. I've had the same issue.
Yeah. But it was like, it was the client's fault. And it was just like,
right. And then they didn't want to hear it from me. And I'm like.
Which that's a lot of stuff that goes on blaming the client. I'm like, that stuff is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it is maybe the client's fault, but in this case it wasn't. But that was whenever all of that started. And I was like, that's so rude. I would be totally grateful if somebody did that to me and I would at least reply back.
Right.
But
hearted thumbs up it. I don't even know, acknowledge it.
Yeah, just acknowledge something. I wasn't like trying to talk trash. I wasn't anything. And I was like, okay, well, this person's rude.
Yeah.
And then she had reached out to them and they didn't say anything to her. So it was like, really? So then I got a new client out of it and then they're whatever they are.
Or I don't even know. Should we bring it up? I'm going to throw it out there and maybe we can cut it. But the ugly side of the competition is when people are trying to steal clients. Literally like sending emails or sending contracts or whatever. Because like clients were like, I don't even know how they got my stuff. Like, and it's literally like somebody that you know doesn't like you.
Oh, yeah.
Not that it's happened to me, but I'm like, I've heard that story a million times already. And I'm like.
No, it has. And that person's hair that you did, I'm going to be doing her mom's hair. And her mom is now coming back to me from one of those salons. And I'm just going to straight up ask her. Because they have reached out to my clients numerous times. I mean, not in the last like 2 or 3 years.
But yeah.
But they have. And for what? COVID was really bad. This was so crazy. I got a couple of screenshots from my influencer clients and they're like, please don't like post this and don't like show anybody this. But this is literally what I got. And I'm like, can you just like tell me to, can I just black your name out or something? I'm like, I have to post stuff like this because it was literally like, hey, now's a good time to leave your stylist if you're not happy. We've been seeing like a switch in client, and I got a lot of new clients and I did lose a couple just because whatever. And it's kind of like whenever I went on maternity leave, it's like if they were already maybe not wanting to come to me, then that was just a good time for them to be like, I'll just find another stylist. She's on maternity leave. I'll do whatever. But I had 2 separate stylists reach out to 2 separate clients. And it was basically the same thing. Like, why didn't you come to us? You know, all this and all that. And I'm like, why are you guys doing this? Like,
well, that's another thing too. It's another topic, but I'm like the loyalty and like when to break. I think it's more talked about maybe because we're stylists, how to break up with your client or fire a client. But I'm like, I think a lot of clients need encouragement of when to break up with their stylist.
A lot of clients are scared about it. And it is because of that facade of community over competition. It's like, they're just scared to do it.
They really are. But I think the thing too is, you know, after me ranting about this, I just want people to realize that the competition should be encouraging. You know, you don't sit there and see like Olympians sit like badmouth all their, you know, competitors because they're really not worried about it. They're like, I want to just compete better than them. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sitting up there like, oh, well, they're doing whatever steroid or whatever. It's just kind of like, if they're suspicious, test them. You know, it was like, my job is to be the best that I can be. Yeah. So maybe that's the gist of this is you need to compete with yourself.
I am in competition with myself a lot. Yeah. And there are stylists like local and non-local that I do look up to. And I'm like, man, I hope that I'm like there one day or this or that. But honestly, like all of the huge names that I follow, they deal with the same stuff.
That was an eye opener.
I follow Maggie MH and she's like, and it was a hilarious post. It was like a sexy picture of her. And she was like, for all you guys that are waiting on my downfall, you might as well just grab a blanket and a snack because it ain't going to fucking happen. And she's going off and she's amazing. And I'm like, wow, does she have like haters out there like that are like trying to like sabotage whatever she's doing? Yeah. I'm like, that's terrible. But I mean, I think that it just happens on all levels. Who it's really sad for are the girls and guys coming out of hair school. They're already don't know what they're doing, nervous, scared, and then it's like imagine them, because we didn't have social media whenever I got out of school at all.
Yeah.
Facebook, I mean, whatever, MySpace, but
that wasn't even like to showcase work.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like now you really do have to have like
you do
a portfolio before you start anything.
Right. But I mean, like, imagine like them doing their first extension client and then this caddy salon down the street's like, not my work, ha ha. She went to a local salon and it was terrible and all of this and all of that. And it's like, I mean, that's going to break somebody's heart. Me, I can see it. And I've seen my stuff on Instagram, like, not my work, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, anyway, I'm going to sleep at night. Like, you know, but someone who's really just getting started and who's insecure and unsure of themselves to begin with, that's tough.
It is. I think that, you know, more to it is just like, you just don't know what someone's breaking point is.
I don't know why that's funny. You don't know what they're going to do when they break, but I know what you're saying.
But you know, it's like
I watched the whole Jeffrey Dahmer this weekend, so I'm like, I don't. What do you mean?
And then you watch House of Hammer.
I know.
I'm just like, what is all this eating people stuff?
Yeah, and wanting to. Anyway, that just you're like, what is someone's breaking point? The way you said it, I was like, well, wait,
some
whoa, what
might
do you
eat their
mean?
client.
I'm like, what are you talking about? But what is someone's breaking point? You mean like? When are they like, are you talking about as a stylist? Like, forget it, I quit?
I think just anybody, I'm like, you don't sit up there and just like berate an intern or whatever. Like, I think something that stuck with me a long time ago is I was working at, as kind of like an intern, but it was like for therapy. And I just remember I had like this great supervisor. We worked arm in arm. And then it came time for my evaluation. And she just started off the whole thing. She was like, you're not going to get a 5 because there's always room for improvement. I mean, it was just like, it all went, I didn't hear a thing she said because I was just like, so you're saying I'm always going to suck. You know, it's like I kind of wanted to quit, but you just don't know how somebody's going to receive those words. You don't know what they're going through personally. Not that you have to tiptoe around people, but it's just like how you say something can make or break somebody. It's just like, hey, like maybe you should try this next time versus like all your stitches are bad. Or look at all those bleed marks. It's like, but I like the dimension you had in the hair. It's like, at least sandwich it with something like
or let
good.
me help you do this. This is what I do, or this is.
And come from a good place.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, well, especially, and like, just like the new talent that goes out, and we kind of talked about this too. It's like, those are just bad habits that you don't want to teach any assistants or new stylists, or even just maybe people coming from salon suites that are wanting to get back into a salon and like an environment with people. It's like, I don't know. And I see like these assistants who are like doing hair and then opening up their own salons, and you think, who did they assist? Because if they assisted somebody like that, that's super negative, or I'm better than everybody else, or I'm this, or I'm that, like
it's passed on.
It's passed on.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, you're just raising your young and letting them out. And then
some wild animals. But
exactly,
the bottom line is we love you guys. And the things that we're asking are the things we ask of ourselves, which is to just do better and figure out how to do better and not be another fucking bitch.
Oh.
I know that came out of nowhere, but
that's okay.
We're running out of time, so.
So that is it. And thank you for listening.
Always. Please come back. I'm not this rude in real life.
No, you're not.
Bye.
Bye.